You're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Like everybody says, oh, you got to pay your dues. I'm like, yeah, but I'm a leading man and I want to be the lead of the show. And that's who I am. So but that's what I, not was taught, what I had in me. Like in Spanish, it's espíritu protagónico. In English, it would be like a protagonist spirit. Like, you know what you're good for. You know how people do like, oh, I never sing. I'm like, oh, I sing. Yes, I sing.
Like fucking enchanted.
But not good. Like I sing like, oh my God, I'm gonna lose my shit. Like I do things like that.
Yes. Yeah. Do we need to get him a little
sometimes there we go. On purpose, I do it off key.
About to lose my shit.
I'm about to lose my shit.
Yeah, I like that.
That was you trying to sing Red, Red Wine earlier.
Red wine.
I could do it as Celine Dion. You have not lived until you listen to my Celine Dion impression.
That's why you need to do Titanic.
Right? But that's not the role they want me to play, though. I'd be a great Celine. They want me to be the villain, which I will totally play. I told my agent, tell them, yes, I'm interested. So, but.
All right. Should we do the intro?
Yeah, let's intro.
All right.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Was It Chance, the podcast about embracing opportunity and taking intentional risk for your creative life. I'm Heather Vickery, and I am live in New York City with my very good friend.
Honk, honk, ooga, ooga, ambulance noises, police noises, Times Square. These are New York noises. Alan Seals is my name, and Heather and I started out as two perfect strangers who met by chance and embraced opportunity. Listen in as we chat with other successful people about the risks they've taken to put themselves on the path to creative success. Did that all in one breath.
But why? Was it necessary to do it all in one
Well, I don't
breath?
want to stop in the middle of a sentence like a 3-year-old, but then anyway.
If you're listening, we encourage you to breathe.
Brought to you by Breathing.
Alan.
Yeah.
We're in person. We are together.
We are.
In Times Square.
We are. Hence the noises that you heard.
No, those
obviously.
were not. That was Alan making those noises.
Ooga. Did you hear that old-timey horn? That old.
Who's with us?
Mauricio Martínez. He's a major international star of both stage and
Stop it.
What?
Act like a grown-up.
Okay. He's a major international star.
I didn't say act like a boring grown-up.
Oh, well, you didn't. Okay.
Like a grown-up on meds, right? I felt some Xanax there, like totally, like just completely chill.
I took a beta blocker.
International star. Just like.
Let's talk about sweaty balls.
It sounds like, remember the Good Times from SNL?
Yeah,
Molly Shannon
sweaty
and the
balls.
Yeah,
sweaty balls. Anyway, you've done some things on stage and screen internationally. Of course, you were in the Paper Mill Playhouse production of Unmasked, the music of Andrew Lloyd Webber. You were Emilio Estefan. I'm sorry, you as in the listener. My guest was Emilio Estefan.
Well, you're looking at him.
I am. This is weird. We're like in person now. He knows what he's done. Emilio Estefan in Broadway's On Your Feet led the national tour of the same name. He's got.
You're reading your intro and not the one I wrote. But that's fine.
I did that, yeah. Yep.
I'm rewinding. Emmy winner for the TV show El Vado on NBC Universo. I mean, this dude was a household name in Latin America. Forever.
You're a telenovela star.
I used to be.
Well,
yeah. I gave it
Isn't
up.
that a thing you keep forever? Like you can.
Well, yeah.
It's like an Oscar.
And
like
they pay royalties, which is good. Yeah.
That's what I'm
Every
talking
now
about.
and then I get a check.
Mauricio Martínez.
Ow! Hi guys.
Mauricio.
How are
Welcome.
you? Thank you.
This is every episode. We're like, next time we're gonna get the intro better.
This is a good intro.
And it
You
never.
act like an idiot every time.
No, I just act like me. That's the difference.
Oh, that's not true.
That's nice. Right?
To act like yourself.
Or an idiot. Whatever comes first. Whatever happens naturally.
Shut the fuck up, Alan.
Shut the fuck up. Wow.
Alan.
So
But you got to do it off key.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up, Alan.
That's good. I like it.
Alan.
Guys, sometimes I just wonder how I get myself in these situations.
This was your idea.
I know.
No.
Wait, so you're friends with
Lauren Yankovic.
Lauren.
Yes. I was back on...
Oh, Jaime Camil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that.
Was back
Who plays Rogelio is his name?
Rogelio.
Yeah, the telenovela star.
He's
Yeah.
He's
very funny. I love him.
fantastic in
Yeah.
it.
He did the Mexican version of Ugly Betty
Oh my gosh.
in Mexico.
Yeah.
And he used the how I got to know him was I was a contestant in Mexican Idol 20 years ago. And he was the host.
I love that.
And that's how we became friends. Yeah.
Okay, and so that's a fun tie-in to Lauren Yalankovich, who is our friend and previous guest who introduced us to you. Well,
Yes,
you already
Lauren.
knew Ellen, but because she was on Star Search.
When she was like a little girl,
It
right?
is like 16, 17?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Okay, well, so this show is all about taking intentional risk for creative success, manifesting your dreams. I mean, that feels like a good place to start.
Mexican Idol.
Mexican Idol.
That was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did Mexican Idol. It's the Spanish franchise. It's called Operación Triunfo. It's kind of like Idol, but it's like if you put Idol and Big Brother together, that's the Spanish version. Because
Wait.
Latinos are very dramatic, as you know, and we like telenovelas. So they thought, oh, it's going to be boring to just have a competition.
So they made you
of
live
the
together?
same- Yes, which creates the drama, you know?
Did it work?
Yes, it worked.
Super stressful and
Because you're
dramatic.
locked in a house with these strangers that you never met and you all want to win. So, I mean, yeah, and like people start dating and having sex and
course they do.
stuff. I didn't. I was very well behaved.
Are you sure?
Yes. But I had worked on cruise ships before, so that helped. Because it's basically the same. Being in one of those
Okay.
shows, those type of shows is basically like being in a cruise ship because you're locked in a place
You gotta
with
know where to
strangers that you didn't choose. And doing your work, doing a job. So you got to make the most out of it. So, yeah. But there's cameras all the
Everywhere.
time, except the bathroom. But there were cameras like watching you sleep. So it's freaky in the beginning,
Ew.
but then you forget. By the third day, like running like
around naked, don't
not
you?
naked, but in your underwear. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh shit, there's cameras. My mom's seeing me. So, yeah.
Well, that's why you wouldn't want to have sex in the hallway.
But people did it anyway under the covers. I know.
That's trashy.
I mean, that's how all of those reality TV shows still do well.
But that
right?
was 20 years ago, and I was fourth place.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Third runner-up, and it was fun. It was like basically the beginning of my career in Mexico. After that, I started starring in musicals and did telenovelas and recorded albums. And,
I love that.
then life brought me back to New York. Yeah.
I was third runner-up in the Miss Indiana preteen pageant.
Oh wow, nice.
We have that in common. Fourth
Kind
place.
of like Drop Dead Gorgeous, the movie. Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that movie, by the way. Isn't it the best movie? Have you ever seen that movie? It's so funny.
No.
Oh my God. You have not lived until you see that movie.
That's it? We haven't lived until you've seen that movie.
Yes.
That's it. Okay, good.
Yes.
To know.
Because it's perfect. It's funny. It's witty. It's incorrect.
Wait, what's your version
I
of
don't
what
know.
you haven't lived until you've seen?
Oh, gosh. Schitt's Creek.
I mean, that's
Okay.
a good one.
That's a good one.
Yes.
That's a good, like, that's not a movie, though. Think
No.
of like a movie or movie franchise.
Fuck. So much pressure. I don't know. I don't do well
Funny
with
Girl.
things like that.
I mean,
Funny Girls. I'm a Barbra Streisand fan too.
of course.
We saw Alan and I saw Beautiful Noise, the Neil Diamond show last night, and they do You Don't Bring Me Flowers, and I was like, he originally did that with Barbra Streisand.
Do you know the story behind that though? They hadn't recorded the song. She did her version, he did his version, and then a radio DJ did a mashup of them together.
Shut up.
And it became so famous that then they actually recorded a duet of it.
Wow, that's a big
Because
deal.
it was recorded in the same key.
It's a
interestingly
beautiful
enough,
song.
which is hard to do when you're like usually
When
women
you're
and
Barbara fucking Streisand.
well, it's different key,
Yeah.
but no, it was the same key. So yeah, and then it became a hit, and I think it won like the Grammy or something.
did?
Yeah, you don't bring me flowers.
You don't sing me love songs. I cannot sing. I have a cold.
Well, Neil Diamond's like, you hardly talk to
to
me
me
anymore. When you walk down
when you walk through the door
at the end of the day. And then Barbara's like,
We're talking about off key. We are fully off key, and I have a cold, so that'll be fun to re-listen to.
Have you ever met Babs?
no, but I've seen her 5 times.
Oh my gosh!
I,
Okay, those are life goals for me.
I've seen her 5 times.
I think she's old.
Twice in LA, once in New York. No, twice in New York and once in Brooklyn, which is still New York, but I mean, you kind of need a visa to go to Brooklyn sometimes. Yeah, because I just feel it's so far away sometimes.
That's where we came from.
Brooklynites.
That's right.
Let's go back a little to a young
Mao.
Mao, is that what your
That's
family
short.
called?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's short for Mauricio.
Okay.
Mao.
Tell us about
What age do you want me to go to?
Well, when you were born. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. When did you know that there was something creative ready to burst
ever
out
since
of
I can remember. My mother's a painter and a fan of music and musicals, but old Hollywood musicals. So and I was a very hyperactive kid. So when I would go get home from school, I would have lunch and then automatically she would pop in a movie or something. So I would do my homework watching Grease and Sound of Music and Hello Dolly and all these.
Did you dance and sing through the house?
Of course.
Yeah.
I thought I was John Travolta and Gene Kelly and then as I grew older and then Patrick Swayze.
Yes.
And then I discovered MTV. So I would obsess with Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson and Paula Abdul. And then I also liked rock. I liked Great White and Whitesnake and Bon Jovi and Motley Crue. And then being from Mexico, of course, I also listened to Spanish music, Mexican pop mostly. So I knew that I wanted to do that. But it was thanks to movies and television. Not theater. I wasn't exposed to theater until a older age. But I knew that I wanted to do that. I wanted to sing. I wanted to dance. I wanted to act. I would put on shows at school. There was this one teacher, my math teacher at first grade, that I was flunking, but she knew I had a singing voice. So she would ask me to sing a song in front of the class.
For extra credit?
To pass.
I love that.
Wow.
That's a good teacher, actually.
That's the first time I realized that I could use my voice for something other than fun. I could use it as a
it's currency.
Yes, and I'm ooh, this is interesting. So I knew I could do something because I could sing. Ever since I could remember, I could emulate. If I was, I don't know, watching Grease and I wanted to sing like John Travolta, I sounded like John Travolta. Or if I was watching, I don't know, Thriller by Michael Jackson, I'm so I would sing and dance like him, and it sounded pretty much the same. So I knew I had something, and I was never shy about it, and I just knew I wanted to do it.
The Mexican Idol then, was the first time that you put yourself out there?
No. I had already studied here in New York, because Idol was when I was 23, and I came to New York at 18 to study. I came to study performing arts. No, I started very, very young singing at church, singing at a choir. Then when I was around 15, I discovered that most of the movies that I watched came from New York, from a place called Broadway, and that it was big time theater, and I fell in love with it. I mean, this was before internet and everything. But I just fell in love with it. But it was the first time that I put myself out there, nationally, internationally. On TV, yes. Before then, I came to New York, I studied here, and I auditioned. I was an extra in Sex and the City. I sang on cruise ships for a while. I did everything. I modeled jingles. I never waited tables, though.
Really? Lucky you.
Because I knew I was gonna suck at that job. I would probably eat the food before it got delivered to the table. So I was
With your
no.
Diet Coke?
Yeah, but I was always very creative. So when I graduated school here, New York is a very expensive city. I created my own teaching Spanish method. So I would go to Wall Street. I created these business cards with my name and my beeper. Remember beepers?
Oh yeah, I have one.
So I would pass them on Wall Street to people that I thought looked very American and
needed to learn how to speak Spanish.
Needed to learn how to speak Spanish. And some of them actually called, and I would charge $100 the hour.
That's fucking brilliant.
I was an expensive teacher.
20 years ago.
And I would just basically do the alphabet and basic sentences
that.
I went to the supermarket and I drink water and I'm going to sleep and my name is blah, blah, blah. And little by little, they started speaking phrases. And so I did that for 2 years and made great money.
How did you come up with that idea?
And then I switched. I'm now I'm going to teach English to Spanish speaking.
People.
And I did that for 2 years. I was very, very creative. And I played a character. I'm not a teacher, but I'm going to play the role that I'm a teacher. So I would wear my glasses and everything. Not even needing glasses, but I had glasses.
Oh, really?
I was a teacher.
I love that.
Mr.
You would
Mao.
get into character.
Mr. Mao.
Mr. Mao.
So that's how I made a living, because New York was, I mean, it's still expensive, but this is before I made money singing and acting, I had to make ends meet.
When you were 18 and you decided to come to New York, were your parents like, yeah, go ahead? And
no, I mean, at first, my dad supported me. My mom was scared. She said, I don't want you doing this. This is not for you. And I'm like, it is for me, Mom. But they kind of wanted me to stay maybe in Mexico and try and have a career over there. But I was like, no, my dream is to be on Broadway and I want to work in English. And I remember Salma Hayek had just moved to Hollywood and started starring in movies. She was doing Wild Wild West and started.
That was a good movie.
She was starting to become famous. And I'm like, if she did it, why not on Broadway? If there's a Mexican, she was basically the first Mexican to cross over big time in Hollywood 25 years ago.
I guess.
And back then, there hadn't been a single Mexican on Broadway, which is wild to me.
Was she on Broadway?
No. But just as an inspiration.
Mao was.
Right. I know that.
There's only been 3 Mexican-born leads on Broadway. Isn't that wild?
That's
crazy. And I'm one of them. Isn't that's wild?
Yeah.
Because Mexico's right next door. There should be more Mexicans on Broadway. Now there's a bit more, but leads. There's only been 3.
That's insane.
Yeah, Sara Ramirez, Bianca Marroquin, and me. Sara Ramirez in Spamalot. Bianca Marroquin in Chicago, and me in On Your Feet.
Wow.
There you go. There's some trivia there.
You originated Emilio Estefan.
No, I was the third and final Emilio Estefan on Broadway. So I closed the show, and then I took it on the road for a year, all over this wonderful nation.
Yeah. Well, I saw it in Chicago.
No, but I did Chicago. I did the whole run.
Well, that's
so you saw me.
I did then.
Yeah.
Aww.
It was like 4 years ago.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have Broadway in Chicago.
It was freezing. Oh my God. It was freezing in Chicago.
It's always freezing in Chicago.
It's cold.
It's so cold.
I was going to live in Chicago. Did you know?
No.
Well, how would you? No.
I wouldn't know that.
I mean,
yeah, when you walked in, I just got this download. I'm like, oh,
he was
going to live in Chicago.
He was going to live in Chicago.
Well,
I can tell
back
by his
in
strut.
2013, I was going to live in Chicago.
Why would you do that?
Because my now ex-husband, who by then was my fiance, got an offer. He's in advertising, and he got a great offer to work in Chicago at a very famous marketing company.
Mad Men Incorporated.
Leo Burnett, it's called.
Oh, I know Leo Burnett.
Yeah, it's like big.
Yeah.
So, but then the offer fell through a day before our wedding, and we're getting married, so I could go with him. But I was like, no, let's get married still. Let's get married.
When you were here
In New York studying or Broadway?
So you're in New York.
Uh-huh.
You're teaching Spanish to English and English to
When
Spanish.
I was 19.
When you were
20,
19.
Yeah.
And
So a year ago.
right. It was like a year and a half, pre-pandemic. Yeah, just pre-pandemic. That's all. At what point, were you dealing with the rejection of the business okay? Or were you like, did you show up and expect to just become the next Salma Hayek?
I knew I was going to make it. I didn't know how, but I had a time limit, because when you're a foreign exchange student, you have a limited amount of time when you get a work visa when you graduate from an American school, university. In this case, it was a year and a half. So I did not go to open calls, or I did not go to I did not audition for summer stock or regional or dinner theater or anything like that. I would only audition for big stuff. Wow. Hoping.
That's gutsy.
Yeah, but I've always been gutsy.
I love that about you.
And I knew what I wanted. I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I know what I want, and I want the big stuff, and I want it now.
You manifested the fuck out
of it. And I did manifest it.
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned for more of the episode. And now we're back.
I mean, life took me back to Mexico after I landed a job at a cruise line, making extraordinary money.
It's stupid.
And traveling the world.
Stupid and how much you get paid doing
this
that.
was 2000, the year 2000. So it was much more. Like, you made tons of money, tax-free, and you get to travel all over the world, and you get to do...
And you have no expenses.
Like Broadway caliber show. So I did it for a year. And then I moved back to Mexico because my visa had run out. And my dad was diagnosed with cancer, terminal cancer. So I went back home. Then my dad passed away, and I had never tried Mexico City. And when you think about Mexico City, it's basically like if you were to put New York Washington, LA, and Miami in one. That's Mexico City for Mexico. Because everything's there. Entertainment, politics, fashion, everything. Oh, yeah, everything. So I moved to Mexico City and I made it almost immediately because I had my New York training that made me a shark, because this city makes you like, it's like you're made out of iron and like just like so strong and so ambitious and so driven. And so I hit it big right away in Mexico, which was amazing after many, many years of hard work and pretending to be an English and Spanish teacher here in Manhattan.
But you actually did it.
Yes, I did. I hope I did teach someone to speak either language, either Spanish or English.
I love that you were charging $100 an hour. Like
that's a lot now.
I'm a coach.
And that was $19.99.
That's what I'm saying. I'm a coach, and I have a hard time getting people to charge that much.
And cash.
Per hour.
I'm like,
Cash
because back then there was no Venmo, there was no internet. Internet was starting.
Show up.
But you remember when you had to plug in your phone line and like,
yes,
you've got mail.
Was that you?
Yeah, no. Was it?
I think that's amazing. So when you talk about dreaming, manifesting, taking intentional risk, let's just talk for a second about what you said, which was, I don't want to do any of that little stuff.
No.
I only wanted to go big.
And never.
Who are you? That you did, like, that's amazing.
I'm Mauricio Martínez. No, but never though. Never. I was like, what for? What's the, like everybody says, oh, you got to pay your dues. I'm like, yeah, but I'm a leading man and I want to be the lead of the show. And that's who I am. So but that's what I, not was taught, what I had in me. Like just in Spanish, it's espíritu protagónico. In English, it would be like a protagonist spirit. Like, what you're good for. I am not good blending my voice and like mix. It's kind of like in a chorus line. Remember a chorus line, the role Cassie? Like that I see that show. I'm like, I know her. I understand her because that's me. And it's just how you are. It's not being egotistical or like you think you're better than it. No, it's just knowing what you're good at, So I've never been in the ensemble. I've never been an understudy. I've never been a swing. I've always been in theater. I've always been the lead because that's what I'm good at.
Where did that come
from? That's my type. That's my voice. That's my physique. That's what I am.
But where did that mentality come from? Because
I think my mom had a lot to do with it.
Because there are so many.
It's so beautiful.
It is beautiful, and there are so many people that it takes, into their 30s and 40s and beyond to be comfortable with embracing what makes you different.
Right.
And you came right out of Mexico City, landed in New York with that mentality at 18.
Ever since school. Since school. You could ask people that went with me to school. Like one of them's Peppermint. Peppermint from RuPaul's Drag Race. Yeah.
I love that.
She went to school with me. She actually taught me how to wear makeup for the first time. So I love you, Peppermint.
You have to make sure she listens.
Yes, of course. Okay. But I just knew who I was and what I sounded like. And I immediately understood like this type of songs I was getting at school, and then when you get an agent, the types of roles you're submitted for, I'm like, oh, this is what I'm good at. This is what I am. Why pretend to be something that I'm not? Why would I go audition and try out for things that I know I'm not right for? Mm-hmm. It may take longer, but at least you're doing what you're meant to be. And it worked. I mean, it doesn't mean that's my way. And I'm not saying it should be everybody's way. Everybody has their own way, but I certainly probably work less than a lot of other peers of mine that work more because but I'm pretty selective with what
It seems like that's intentional.
Yes, it always has been.
Yeah.
Because I get bored really easily. That's a thing too. So I need breaks from theater, especially. Like when I got bored from theater, I'm like, oh, now I'll do a TV show, or now I'll record an album. Now I'll do a concert. Now I'll write. And now I miss theater. Oh, I miss theater. So, and like I got tired of Mexico City because I'm like, I've done everything I can here. What else am I gonna do? I've done it all. Move to New York. Be an adult in New York now because I had that it was pending, that assignment in my life. I'm like, I loved New York. New York was like one of the best. It still is. But my best memories, my best years was when I was studying here from 18 to 21. I'm like, I want to live there again as an adult. So I dropped everything, like a career, great money, great roles, television, red carpets. I'm like, my car,
Wow.
And I'm like, but I want to be a New Yorker and I want to be on Broadway. And so far it's worked, so who knows? Maybe in 10 years I'll be like, now I want to live in Hawaii. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I think whatever it is you want to do, you're going to do it.
But you know what you want, like I'm not an LA guy, for example. That's not for me. Mm-hmm. I lived that life in Mexico and I didn't really like it. I like New York. Like this is the city where I'm the happiest because it's free and I like to walk everywhere and ride the subway and
me too.
The anonymity.
Anonymity.
Thank you.
I wish you guys could see his adorable smile right now.
Anonymity. What a word.
See, anonymity.
Anonymity. Anonymity. I love the anonymity of New York. I love that.
Yeah.
I love being able to like ride the subway and all of a sudden like Naomi Watts is like sitting next to you, or you're in Central Park and like Bernadette Peters is riding a bike, or Robert De Niro is having a sandwich with his
and no one
grandson,
gives a shit.
And nobody gives a shit. That's the beauty of New York. Like you see it on Broadway. I've lived it. You do a show and all of a sudden like there's like hundreds of people wanting to your autograph and your playbill. And then as soon as you're done and you walk 2 steps, nobody gives a shit about you.
So as soon as you're around the corner.
That's the beauty of New York. Because it reminds you that it's just a job. You know, we're just ordinary people with extraordinary jobs.
Yeah.
We're not extraordinary. We're just people, New York reminds you that every 5 seconds. And I love that. I love that because you can't be phony in New York. You have to be real. Because that's what I love about New York. You have to be real.
Have you ever tried to go down a path that you quickly, or maybe wasn't so quick, but you realize like this is completely wrong, and like at the time it felt right, and then you had to pivot, turn around, and start over again?
Yeah, Mexico City.
Yeah.
I mean, the musicals were great. My albums were great. I loved doing them, the concerts. But like for example, telenovelas and stuff. I'm like, really?
It's a lot of work, right?
I don't like the process. I don't like the product. I don't like telenovelas. But if you lived in Mexico in those days, this is before Netflix, before HBO, before like television changed, you had to do novelas, telenovelas. Otherwise, nobody would know you and nobody would buy tickets to go see you to the theater. So I'm like, okay, so if I want people to buy tickets for me to go see me in the theater, I have to be known. How am I going to be known in this country? Doing telenovelas. But I never liked the process. I still don't. It's very boring for me to do TV because you're locked in your trailer for like 10 hours and then you forget your lines and all of a sudden, oh, it's time. I'm like, oh, what was the scene about? Like, what? And in theater, you just know that for 2.5 hours, you're going to go to the theater, put your mic on, stretch, vocalize, do a show, and then you're home.
Like you press play.
You know that you have like those 3 hours and then the rest of the day you're free and, it's very different. And I like the process better. And I like the audience. That's what I like. I mean, it's nice. TV pays well. They fly you first class. And it's nice, but it's boring.
Would you do like a sitcom?
I mean, of course. If I were, I mean,
would you turn down a lot of money?
No, of course not. But I gotta be honest about it. It has to be something that I really, really, really enjoy. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, why do it? At this age and after everything I've been through and lived, I'm like, I'm only gonna do things that I want. And I've made sure that I've designed my life in order to do what I want. Like I don't have kids. I don't have tuitions to pay or mouths to feed. It's just me. So that's a luxury, but that's a risk that I was willing to take and a sacrifice,
Did you always know that was not the route you wanted to take?
I mean, in my late 30s, a couple of years ago, I was like, well, maybe, but it lasted like 5 months, Then, I mean, and my ex was very white. He's still a good friend of mine and he knows me. I'm pretty sure better than most people. And he said, come on, Mao, your baby's your career. Like your career's your child. And he was right.
Yeah.
Like that is my baby to this day, you know, and she's very jealous, or he's very jealous, or they are very jealous. Maybe my career is non-binary. So, you know, yeah, my career's jealous of my time of, you know, you had to pay attention to her.
Yeah, that's a really interesting. Also, you're gay and your career is female. I just noticed. So
well, because I think in Spanish, well, because carrera in Spanish is female. Mi carrera. Okay. So I automatically translated in my brain, and it's in English. In English, it's female, but it shouldn't really have a gender. So
wait, la mi carrera.
Mi carrera.
Carrera.
Mi carrera. You got to roll the R's.
Carrera. In Mexico City, you were saying that to have people buy tickets, you had to do telenovelas, and then...
Because otherwise, they're not going to go see you.
Right.
They're not going to know who you are.
What is the version of that now? Now with the internet, with social media, with everything?
Well, it's changed, definitely changed, because now there's like Twitch stars, and now there's like influencers, and now like Netflix and HBO. Like now there's international, and I think TV, entertainment in general, is more global. You know, you can be living in a ranch in Idaho and still be well known in the rest of the world because of the internet.
Yes.
But back in the day, you had to be in Mexico City or Miami or LA or New York, you know. Now you can be anywhere. I have a friend who's a very famous and well-known like TV and film actress. She works in Hollywood all the time, but she lives in Mexico with her husband. So she just flies to wherever the movie or TV show
for that life.
is shooting in like Canada, and she's married and everything. And she travels with her little dogs, like shoots the TV show for 8 weeks. With her little 2 dogs, and then goes back home to this little town in Mexico where her husband lives. And I'm like, wow, I love that.
That's it.
You know?
You are vibrant and vivacious. I mean, you walked in the room and you can feel it. I can't wait to see you on stage. I know that you just own it. You are a cancer survivor.
Yeah, 4 times.
4 times.
Bladder cancer.
I just want, like, where does this wild, abundant vibration... Easy for me to say, vibrant zest for life come? I mean, and how did that help you when you were diagnosed?
Well, when you never think you're gonna get it, you know. My dad died of prostate cancer 21 years ago. So when I first was diagnosed was 2010. I thank God for my ex-husband, Emilio, because he was next to me when the doctor was giving me that diagnosis, because I forgot everything. I forgot. I was like, went into a shock. I'm like, what? But how am I? My brain just went like, wait a minute. I'm shooting a TV show, telenovela, and I'm doing this musical, and I'm recording how am I going to be on stage? Like, what? Like, I can't have cancer. I don't have time for this right now. And so I went into like shock, but he remembered everything. Like, where was it? Where the tumors were? Because I had 5 tumors. So I went into survival mode, you know, and I focused on getting better and getting back on stage. That's what I did. But I was very fortunate because I had lots of love surrounded me, like my best friend, my mother, and my ex-husband. Those were my 3 pillars, you know, that really got me through it. And my faith in God and in life and in myself too, and wanting to be back on stage, and singing and not letting it kill me. I was also fortunate because it was discovered in time, but I still had to go through chemo and everything, and it was very scary. That was the first time. And then they came back 3 times.
Yeah, that's what I'm like, okay, the first time they tell you have cancer, it's devastating. The second time, it's probably like, what the fuck? Like, we did this. By the 4th time, how are you not like just fucking angry?
The 4th was but because number 2 and number 3, I was like, okay, just take the tumor out and let me go on with my life. This is not going to kill me. So I was shooting a movie the second time around. The 3rd one, I was doing a show. And I was just like, okay, get the tumor out and I'll do chemo. And I was like, okay, I'll keep on living. The 4th one was the hardest, I think, because it hit me the most. Because I was on the tour of On Your Feet. I had already made my Broadway debut. I moved to New York. I was in the middle of tour. And I was in LA, in Hollywood at the Pantages Theater with Gloria and Emilio and my mom and everything. Everyone was there. And in intermission, I went to the bathroom to urinate. And that's how you really tell that there's something wrong, because you urinate blood. It's almost like you opened a bottle of red wine. Like that's what it looks like. So next day I was at the hospital, and they did a cystectomy and cystoscopy, sorry. And they showed me 4 tumors. And I had just had a checkup 4 months prior. So in 4 months,
wow,
4 tumors grew. So something was going on with me, I don't know, emotionally or whatever, that 4 tumors appeared. So I had to leave tour. I was 40 years old. So all of a sudden, from being like the king of the world, before in a blink of an eye, I was back home in Mexico, unemployed, 40 years old, with cancer, fighting for my life, and very depressed. Very, very depressed. And I didn't realize I was getting depressed. And that was the hardest, I think. That's like when I hit rock bottom. You know, when I don't feel like singing, I know there's a problem. And I didn't want to even sing at all. So that's when I know, ooh, like something's wrong. Mm-hmm. But I went to two different therapists, to a psychiatrist and a psychologist. And from Monday through Friday, I would go to therapy and I would like
good for you.
Meditate and like do everything that was in my power to get better. For like 5 months, I did that, and little by little, and until we found the right combination of meds too, because I needed help. You know, I couldn't do it alone. I'm like, I need antidepressants and anxiety pills to like fall asleep. And finally I was clear, I was clean, cancer-free, and I started like, oh, I can smile again. Like, oh, this is me again. And I moved back to New York, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And I've been here for 4.5 years now, and clean. It's the first time that I've passed the 3-year mark. Usually I never reached got to the 3-year mark. And now I'm about to cross the 5-year mark. So I must be doing something right. And even though we had a freaking pandemic, like that was my best test. I'm like, oh, I think I'm good, because I'm off meds. I don't take anything anymore. Haven't been for like 2 years now, and the pandemic didn't drive me insane. I think I'm good. I must be doing something right.
You said something so interesting, and I resonate with it, which is in those 4 months, you said something must have been happening inside you.
Oh yeah, emotionally
to create tumor. I mean, that's pretty advanced. I wanted to bring this up earlier, and then we got off the topic because energy. And Alan knows I'm a little bit obsessed with the idea of quantum physics and things happening. Like everything is happening all at once. It's all existing.
And you create it.
And we're creating it, right?
I believe that too.
And so that's just fascinating to me that you were like, well, what was happening inside of me internally?
And now I look back and I go, well, of course you got cancer, Mauricio. Like I wanted to do everything at the same time and have a relationship, a long distance relationship, and be a Broadway star and save money and get my green card, and travel all at the same time. My poor body was just like, hold on, like time out. You need to chill and just relax and focus on what's really important, Now I know that. Now I'm single. This is the first time that I've been single for longer than 3 years, and I'm like enjoying it. I'm single, focused on my career, on my health, on my well-being, on spending time with loved ones, and just having a good time in life. Like now I have my own apartment. I live where I've always wanted to live, doing what I've always wanted to do, in less of a hurry. Because I was in a hurry. I'm like, what's the rush? Like, just relax and enjoy. Sing for pleasure, and for you, not for anybody else. And that's when something clicked, I think,
I love that.
That's brilliant.
I started relaxing more too,
When you take the pressure off of yourself, it takes the pressure off.
And you take yourself less seriously too. Yeah. You start like laughing at yourself too.
And
like,
surrender.
Wow. Yeah.
Really surrender. You've declared, I'm the leading man. Like, this is it. This is the life.
This is who I am.
I'm here for this.
Yeah.
And then.
But now enjoy it and laugh about it. And like, don't take yourself too seriously. Because I did. Like, remember Glee? Mm-hmm. The character that Lea Michele played? Like, that was me. Like, back in like when I was like 20 and 21 and 22. Like, so driven and so obsessed with my career. Now I'm not obsessed anymore. I'm like, now I enjoy it. I relax and enjoy it.
All right, one more quick break. Hang on a second. All right, here's the rest of the episode.
when you stop comparing yourself with others, which is very hard to do in this business, and especially now with like the internet and like social media and everything. But when you focus on like your own path and your own needs and what makes you happy, and and it's the little things. Like I'm very fortunate. I live like 5 blocks away from Central Park, so I promised myself that I would go at least 3 times a week. A day. Could you imagine? Oh my God, where is he? He's in Central Park. No, at least 3 times a week, and I do it.
Good.
Because I live right here. Like I live where I've always wanted to live, and if I have nothing to do, like no scenes to study or no auditions or no, which happens frequently in this career. All of a sudden you like have a lot of work and then you have nothing. Mm-hmm. Enjoy New York. Go to the museums. Go to Soho. Go to Brooklyn. Go to, like enjoy New York. It's New York, man.
It's New York.
This is what you wanted. Like now live it.
Yeah.
Don't complain about the cold. Don't complain about the heat. Don't complain about the tourists, because tourists pay for my bills. So.
Right?
Yeah.
Can I ask about fear?
No, I was going to say.
Or failure, I mean.
I know both. I know both F's.
What is the next intentional risk you plan on taking?
My next intentional risk, I plan on not taking. Wow.
You plan on taking.
On taking.
You want to calculate.
Calculated intentional risk.
Yeah. Ooh. That's a very good question.
Put it out there in the universe.
Staying put in New York, where I need to be. Because then the Latin world, which I'm also a part of in Spanish, like Telemundo, comes to seduce me every now and then. Like, ooh, come do a TV show and blah, blah, blah. And make great money. But that's not the market that I'm interested in anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm planting the seeds in the language and in the city and in the business that I want to be in. Mm-hmm. Because what happens with people like me, that like we speak 2 languages, we are with both, we have both cultures. It's easy to get confused. Like, oh, well, I'm going to go do Spanish shows now. So, oh, no, now I'm going to go do English. But then you lose focus. Like, focus on what you really want. What is it that you want? Okay, I want to win a Tony. I want to be on Broadway.
Yes.
So focus on that. English, not Spanish. Which is very hard, because Spanish is right, like it comes back every 5 weeks. It's like, oh, you want to come do this? Like, and it pays so well. And I go, I want to buy an apartment, but I gotta stay where I want a career.
Well, you know yourself.
I have to.
Yeah.
At least now, maybe in 10 years, I'm like, well, at least because these are my best years. Mm-hmm. I've reached an age where I have 10 to 15 years where the roles that I've always wanted to play are finally there for me. Like I've always wanted to play the role, like Chain, Evita, Phantom, like, you know what I mean? Like A Man of La Mancha, Cervantes, like Kiss of the Spider. All the roles that I've waited to be right for, I'm finally right for.
It'd make a great Christine Diane.
Now, don't tempt me. But so, I mean, I gotta stay put and stick around, which is a risk that I'm willing to take.
Sure.
Because it's not easy. Trust me, it's not easy. I see my friends back home, like in like the luxurious lives in Mexico and like making great money doing TV, and but that's not what I wanted. I have had that and I didn't want it. But every now and then I miss it. I go, oh, that was so comfortable, you know? Like comfortable. As I push snow.
Everything you really want is just on the other side of uncomfortable.
Right. So and that's not where I live. That's where I've never lived
in comfort.
Never.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
I can see that.
Which is so weird. It's like
no, I can. Well, because you can tell. I think
it's masochistic.
I don't think so. Just from the time we've spent together, maybe because we're in the same room, I think you can tell that that's not where you'll grow.
Right.
Period. You won't reach the dreams,
and it's not gonna make me happy. Because I've always wanted to be exactly where I am.
So you're so confident.
Getting the auditions and getting the appointments that I've now getting finally. I'm like, don't move. This is where you want to be.
Yeah.
It's very easy.
Failure?
I've known it.
But you don't give off any failure vibes.
Oh, but I've known it. I've known it.
What happens? Like, can you share?
But I don't see. But failure is an interesting term because
it doesn't exist.
It does and it doesn't. You know, I believe in lessons that you learn.
Me too.
You know what I mean? You see it as failure is very immediate, but it vanishes really quickly. The lesson is what stays forever. You know, you may not get a part. And or the show that you're in closes, or the album you released doesn't sell, or the concert, like, you didn't sell any tickets, so you got to cancel. Like, that could be a failure, but then it's a blessing in disguise if you know how to open your eyes and be aware for the signals and be like, oh, I needed to go through this in order to get the other to the other place or meet this person. Or so failure is like, I mean, I don't really believe in failure.
Me either.
Because I believe in energy too, and what you put out, you get. So just even saying the word, I'm like, I don't like the word. It's not a mistake or a failure. Like, I'm a divorced man. It doesn't mean that the relationship failed. It was beautiful for 6.5 years.
And then it didn't serve you anymore.
It worked. And then at the end, it transformed into something else. But it didn't mean I failed. You know what I mean? Like, so, but we're trained, like, when we're kids, we're trained that way in school. Like, oh, you failed math. Well, yeah, but I didn't fail. I tried. And I learned to study more and, like, pay attention.
Right.
Like, you know what? Instead of watching MTV and pretending math, practice math. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it's there's always a lesson to be learned. But it's our ego that gets in the way.
And there's 5 grades.
I sound like Deepak Chopra now. Read my book on how not to be a failure.
Where can we find you online? Find your music?
You can find me on any platform, music-wise, Spotify, iMusic, all those. I have 2 Latin pop albums available. I'm working on my 3rd album in English now with Broadway Records. And you can stream my TV show El Vato on Netflix, and Señora Acero also on Netflix.
I'm gonna do that with my kids. They're gonna get a kick out of that.
It's fun, and they have subtitles. If they're not fluent in Spanish, they have subtitles in English. So that's fun. And I have a concert at 54 Below next year in March 5th, and I'm developing 3 musicals right now, and just wrapped up a TV show that streams next year. So I'm very happy. There's a lot of things happening.
Calm before the storm, before everything pushes out.
Yeah.
This has been so much fun. Thank you for spending some time with us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
You're such fun energy to be around.
And it's such a nice interview because it's not really about, like, career, which is refreshing. It's about other stuff. I like that.
Good.
Yeah. It's almost like going to therapy.
Right? You hear that? Oh, boy. Do not tell Alan that he's, like, being at the therapist.
No, don't speak, Alan. Shut the fuck up, Alan.
Alan.
Yay, what a great way to close the show.
Isn't Mal such a cool guy?
He's so cool, and it was really, really fun to be in the same room together, looking over the lights on Broadway.
And you can hear actually some real, like, noises from Times Square, because we were recording in Times Square in studio.
Those were not real noises,
no.
Alan. Those were you.
At the beginning, yes, that was me. But then throughout the interview, I have edited it between recording this outro and when we actually recorded it. So you can hear real noises. So
we were live.
If you're listening in your car, there are no police cars behind you. Probably.
However, I do actually have a cold, and that distant cough in the background is me, and I'm sorry.
Yes. We should have apologized at the beginning, but now retroactive apology, that works.
I think I did tell everyone I had a cold, which is why I couldn't sing. And
that's why. I
can sing, Alan. But you and Mao were trying to purposely be off key, and I was like, well, that works for me because right now I definitely can't sing.
Talk about Mao and purpose. Okay. This dude, I mean, we pulled it for the cold open. He was like, I am a leading man. This is what I'm doing.
Yes.
Nothing else works, and I'm going to go down this path. And he has not deviated from that no matter what kind of shit life has thrown at him, and including cancer four times.
Yeah. His vibration is so high. Like, he knows what he wants. There's no negotiation. It's just show up and make that shit happen. And it's contagious. I mean, it is cool to be in the room with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love too that, like, when he showed up in New York, just went down to the financial district and started passing out cards to like, I've never taught before. I happen to know 2 languages. I guess I'll charge $100 an hour with no experience
in the
teaching
90s.
In the 90s, and people were taking
in
him up
cash.
in cash, right?
I mean, I have clients who I have a hard time getting to charge $70 an hour right now. In the year of our Lord 2022.
Well, this is a pretty expensive city, but yeah.
Still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The year of our Lord 2022.
I know I'm very not religious, folks, but it sounded funnier when I said it that way. Yeah. No, I mean, it's beautiful to see, like, I'm going to stay on task. And that was rather than take kind of a side gig acting job or serving or working at like dinner theater or whatever to quote unquote hone his craft. He's like, no, fuck that. I'm a leading man, and then I'm gonna hustle these Wall Street guys.
Mm-hmm. And he
amazing.
did, and he was great. And then now too, he even said something too that was that was really cool to hear. And he said that he works probably less than his colleagues now here in New York and all that, but he's much more selective and knows exactly what he wants.
More balanced.
Happier, balanced, yeah. So it comes down to, like, he's, not taking antidepressants. He's going through this I guess he's put himself on the path to the journey that he knows he wants to be
Absolutely. And that's no harsh on folks who need antidepressants, because they're important if you need them.
1,000%.
And I think Mouse shared that he was on them for a while and they really saved him. But yes, when you feel balanced, when you're doing the thing that you're here to do, when you're really showing up for yourself and taking care of yourself, a lot of really magical things come together.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love him. He's great.
I do too. I want to be my best friend with you. With a triad of best
all
friends.
Of our guests need to
we have the best guests ever.
I agree. We do. Okay. Well, where can we find more friends? Where can more friends find us?
Where can more friends find us? You can find us anywhere that you enjoy podcasts. Obviously, you're listening right now. Share it, like, subscribe, follow, review. Give us all those stars, because it warms our little hearts.
Our star-needing hearts.
Our star-needing hearts. We are on Instagram at Was It Chance. And what's the email? What's the website and the email?
wasitchance.com is the website, and wasitchancepodcast@gmail.com. Shoot us a note. Let us know you're listening.
Yeah, let us know you're listening, and how are you, manifesting your success? What risks are you taking? All of that fun stuff. So you've been listening to Was It Chance, the podcast about embracing opportunity and taking intentional risk for your creative life. I'm Heather Vickery.
And I'm Alan Seals.
We'll see you guys soon.
Yay for outros.